I will deal with you if you don't stay away from that piece of land. First son my foot, Obiora yelled at his elder brother, Adele. Adele, Adora, and Obiora were the children of Mazi Okoye and Oriaku. Their father, Mazi Okoye, was a well-known importer and dealer of electronic appliances at the popular Alaba International Market in Lagos. His 3 shops were always crowded with wholesalers and retailers shouting at his apprentices to settle their orders. Because of his success and generosity, his friends fondly called him Odogwu na Alaba. Although Mazi Okoye would have preferred that his wife stayed at home to enjoy his wealth, Oriaku insisted on running her wig business in the same market. The couple's relationship was admired by friends and family. They went to work together, returned home together, and shared similar family and social values. Yet, behind the admiration, cracks were beginning to form. Mazi Okoye is a strict disciplinarian, holding firmly to the biblical saying, "He who does not work, let him not eat." He provided well for his household, but insisted that his sons, Adele and Obiora, must spend Saturdays as apprentices in his shop to learn the trade. Oriaku did not welcome this idea. She said, "My children are golden children and should not be subjected to such labor. They can always get apprentices to do the work for them when you are not there. Let them enjoy their Saturdays. That is the only day they rest. Remember, their father is Odogwu na Alaba. Generational wealth awaits them, so let them be." From the outside, the Okoye family looked perfect. Inside, a silent war over parenting was brewing. Oriaku always made heavy weather whenever Mazi Okoye reprimanded his children, especially Obiora, fondly called Nwa Mummy Ya. He grew up believing the world should revolve around him. He was lazy, disrespectful, and quick-tempered. At 18, he could not lift a TV set or assist meaningfully in his father's shop. He couldn't tidy his room, clear the dinner table, or do his laundry. He relied completely on Chima, their 16-year-old house help, to do everything for him. Unlike Adele, who worked hard in their father's shop, and Adora, who helped their mother in her wig business, Obiora had no sense of responsibility. One evening after dinner, Adele asked Obiora to clear the dining table. Obiora shot back rudely and said, "Am I a house help? Call Chima to do it." He shoved his plate aside, stretched out on the sofa, and began pressing his phone. When Adele reported this incident to their mother, Oriaku defended Obiora. She said, "Chima was brought to serve you. Don't disturb your brother with such things." Mazi Okoye saw through his son's weakness. He often rebuked him, warning, "Obiora, life does not respect lazy men. One day, I will not be here, and you will know that money is not picked from the ground. Emulate your brother. He is a well-coordinated and hard-working gentleman." But Oriaku always rushed to Obiora's defense. She would say, "Leave my son alone. He is still young. Must you compare him with Adele? Don't break his spirit. He will be great in his own way. He is still young." "Still young?" Mazi Okoye retorted once. "I became an apprentice at 14, and by 18, I already had my own shop and was importing goods from China. You are spoiling this boy. I only hope the repercussions will not destroy the good name and years of sweat we have built." These constant quarrels weakened Mazi Okoye's authority. Over time, Obiora grew bolder, openly defying instructions and even talking back to his father. He came to see Adele not as an elder brother, but as a rival. He often whispered to his mother that Adele was trying to steal all the glory, especially since their father frequently praised Adele's hard work in front of business partners. Obiora's college friends only made matters worse. They hailed him as Odogwu's prince, the boy who would inherit wealth without lifting a finger. He followed them to night parties, drank recklessly and staggered home late, confident his mother would shield him from his father's anger. Years rolled by. Adele graduated from college and joined his father's business fully, rising to the position of managing director. His discipline and sharp business acumen won him admiration from both family and traders. Obiora, on the other hand, dropped out of school because of his careless lifestyle. He refused to join the family business, choosing instead to waste his youth in idleness and arrogance. Whenever relatives or friends asked about his future plans, his reply was always the same. I am Odogwu's prince. My father's wealth will last me a lifetime. Why should I work? For reasons no one could fully understand, Oriaku continued to condone and defend Obiora's reckless behavior, even in the face of Mazi Okoye's stern warnings. Where others saw laziness and waste, she saw only her Nwa Mummy Ya, her beloved last son who could do no wrong. Her blind support, though rooted in motherly affection, slowly fanned the flames of a disaster waiting to consume the family. One fateful day, the Okoye family received devastating news. Mazi Okoye, Odogwu na Alaba, was dead. The story was that his driver, Anayo, had lost control of the brakes on their way back from the shop. Eyewitnesses whispered that Anayo was distracted by a well-endowed African woman who was walking by the roadside. In that split second of folly, tragedy struck. The car swerved violently, crashed into the side rail and tumbled into chaos. Mazi Okoye died instantly. Anayo survived with bruises, but would never live down the shame of causing the death of the man who had lifted him from poverty. Oriaku fainted upon hearing the news. Adora clung to her mother, crying uncontrollably. Adele, though broken inside, forced himself to be strong, stepping up immediately to coordinate burial arrangements and calm the storm of sympathizers who flooded their compound. Obiora, however, reacted differently. He locked himself in his room for hours, then emerged with red eyes, not from grief alone, but from anger. Deep within him, a dark thought began to grow. With their father gone, no one could stop him from claiming what he believed was his. The death of Mazi Okoye was not just the end of a man. It was the beginning of a battle that would test the strength of blood ties, expose the cracks in a once admired family, and pit brother against brother in a war over legacy, land, and pride. 1 year after the passing of Mazi Okoye, the family gathered in the living room as their lawyer, Afam-san, prepared to read his last will and testament. The atmosphere was heavy with silence. All of them knew that this moment would determine the future of the Okoye legacy. Afam-san adjusted his glasses and began. By his will, Mazi Okoye willed all his vacant landed properties to Adele. It is his wish that Adele, as the diligent first son, would utilize the lands in the future to expand the family business. For his 4 houses in Lagos, he distributed them equally among his 3 children, Adele, Adora, and Obiora, while Oriaku is to retain the family house in Lagos for the rest of her life. Furthermore, the ancestral home in their hometown, Newi, Anambra State, was to be inherited solely by Adele in line with Igbo custom, since he is the Opara. As for his liquid assets, bank savings and investments, Mazi Okoye instructed that they be shared equally among his 3 children and his wife, Oriaku. When Afam-san finished reading, the room fell into a deep, uneasy silence. Adele sat quietly, his face unreadable. Adora sighed in relief, grateful that their father had been fair. Oriaku clutched her wrapper, her eyes darting between her children. But Obiora's fists tightened. His face darkened. To him, the will was not an act of fairness. It was betrayal. Afam-san told the family that it was their father's wish that they respect his will. Afam-san further added, "Your father made legitimate provisions for all his children." Legitimate provisions? Obiora cut him off, his eyes blazing. Don't insult me, Barrister Afam. This is nothing but favoritism. Adele has bewitched all of you. How can my father will all the 7 parcels of land in Lagos to Adele? What about me? Am I not his son? This is unfair, and I wouldn't accept it. I will fight for what is rightfully mine.
Adele finally looked up, his voice firm but calm. Obiora, this is not about favoritism. Papa trusted me because I worked with him. You refused to learn the trade, you abandoned school, and you wasted your youth. Don't blame Papa for your choices. Shut up! Obiora roared. Don't talk to me like that. I will deal with you if you ever step foot on those lands. First on my foot. This is not the end. Mark my words, Adele. You will not enjoy a single plot while I live. The room fell into chaos. Oriaku rushed to restrain her son while Adora broke into tears. Afam's son shook his head, folding the will carefully back into the envelope. He had seen many families torn apart by inheritance, but watching the seeds of division sprout in the once united Okoye family pained him deeply. That day, a line was drawn. Adele, the heir determined to protect his father's legacy, against Obiora, the spoiled prince who believed the world owed him everything. The days that followed were ensued with legal battles between Obiora and Adele over their late father's properties that he did not work for. Oriaku was disappointed that Obiora could take his elder brother to court over their father's properties that he did not work for. She tried to make Obiora see reason, but her words fell on deaf ears. At night, she wept bitterly, remembering Obiora's warning. Wealth without discipline is a curse. And so it was that the Okoye family, once admired by many, became the talk of the town for all the wrong reasons. In Alaba market, tongues wagged. Traders who once envied the Okoyes now shook their heads in pity.